Most people get into spirituality and start collecting esoteric wisdom looking for an exit door because we secretly hope that if we read enough books, life will finally stop being so difficult. And we hope that after one big breakthrough, the struggles will simply vanish. No more tough conversations, no more boring chores, and no more stress over the bills. And right now, while you're watching this video, there's probably a part of you hoping for something new. Maybe you're hoping for that one special insight, one magical question, or that one secret technique, or that one piece of spiritual knowledge that suddenly makes everything click. And maybe I will share something valuable to you today. But here's the paradox. Even if this video completely changes how you see yourself, you will still have to live your life when it ends. You will close this video, you will stand up, you will walk right back to your family, to your job, to your responsibilities and relationships, and back to your unfinished tasks. And this is where this journey gets really interesting. Because see, the purpose of spiritual understanding isn't to give you a nice concept to think about while sitting in a cushion. It is to change how you meet the life that is already happening right in front of you. And real realization doesn't make the work disappear. It completely changes your relationship with the work. That's why today's video I wanted to make it about bridging the gap between knowledge and your practical everyday living. Because if you simply get lost in knowledge, concepts, insights, or even practices like meditation, you may not be properly applying these spiritual concepts into your daily life. And think about it. When life feels heavy, our tendency may to be run away from situations. And in the back of your mind, you may even think, if I just had enough time to rest, or if I could just even leave the society behind, or go live in a mountain or a cave, or meditate all day long, I would finally find a permanent peace. But actually, there's a huge fallacy in this kind of thinking. And in a moment, we will actually look at an ancient way of understanding reality, which explains why this doesn't actually work. But first, we need to realize that life in every level has its own kind of problem. For example, let's say you decided to go into a cave, leaving all the societal problems behind. But even that cave will have its own unique sets of problems too. Let's say you actually pack your bags and go live in a remote cave. This cave may get freezing cold at night, and other times you may have to spend hours searching for food. And you may have to hike miles to find clean drinking water. And you may have to learn how to start fire from the scratch. And not only that, you'll also have to think about different safety concerns. For example, scorpions, spiders, and freezing rain. So ultimately, in this case, you don't escape life by isolating yourself. You just trade your city chores for survival chores. And as the saying goes, wherever you go, there you are. All of your mental and emotional problems you carry over with you wherever you go. So even internally, you may start feeling the same before you left the society and came into this cave. And honestly, even though this cave example may seem a bit extreme, but a lot of us actually consider leaving society behind. And I actually know this intimately because years ago, right after going through a painful breakup, I fell directly into the fantasy of escaping. I actually was considering very seriously about leaving my life behind and going to an ashram. And underneath, the real reason was I wanted to cut myself off from everybody. The plan that I had at the time felt so logical. I was thinking to myself, eventually I would master spirituality, live in unbroken bliss, and never had to deal with demanding people or social anxiety again. And I genuinely believed that inner peace required total isolation. Then reality actually stepped in. I later found out the ashram that I wanted to be a part of was actually full of drama and scandals that I don't want to go into right now. So that idea was completely gone. And then life happened, and 2 years ago I got married. And just 4 months ago, my wife and I welcomed our newborn son into this world. So today my life is busier, louder, and more demanding than it has ever been. And between building a career, supporting a family, changing diapers at 3 a.m. and running on little sleep, life is constantly demanding my attention. And yet, despite having 10 times more daily responsibilities, I feel far more grounded and peaceful today than I ever did. And this really happened because I stopped using spirituality to hide away from discomfort. And this became clear for me when I understood the 3 levels of reality taught in Advaita Vedanta. And after this, I saw clearly that peace is never found by hiding in an empty room where nothing challenges you. True peace is remaining completely still on the inside, even while the world around you is moving at full speed. Ancient non-dual wisdom of Advaita Vedanta breaks down entire human experience into three distinct levels of reality. The first one is Prātibhāsika, or subjective reality. This is the world of purely personal mental projections, dreams, fantasies, and irrational anxieties. Like mistaking harmless rope for a dangerous snake in the dark, this is where our imaginary fears and stories live. And the second level of reality is Vyavahārika, or transactional reality. In Sanskrit, or even in my native tongue of Nepali, this refers to interactional, behavioral, and practical world we find outside. This is our shared everyday world of physical bodies, full of cause and effect, careers, daily chores, and family responsibilities and relationships. And according to Vedanta, even this level of reality is also illusory because it's simply an appearance that is arising in consciousness that we are all participating in. And the third level of reality is Pāramārthika, or the absolute reality. This is the ultimate non-dual truth, the pure unmoving consciousness or awareness. That is the life force that sustains the entire illusory reality that we consider to be the world outside us. And at this level, awareness is already whole and complete. Nothing is missing here, nothing is broken, and nothing needs to be improved or attained. And the single biggest mistake a lot of spiritual seekers make, especially in the path of non-duality, is using this absolute truth to bypass the practical or the Vyavahārika level of reality. And I want to make this very, very clear. Just sitting on your couch and saying everything is an illusion, everything will take care of itself, will not pay your electricity bill. It will not earn a living for your family, and it will not repair your broken relationships. Because no matter how awakened you are, even in the practical interactional world, you must show up. If you are hungry, you eat. If your floor is dusty, you sweep it. And if your bills are due, you go to work or participate in something that brings money in order to pay for them. Because in the level of transactional reality, things are giving you signal. Just like when a baby cries, you pick him up and hold him. You don't just sit there idle looking at the baby, not doing anything. And you have to stop using awakening and spiritual advancements as excuses in order to avoid things that may seem uncomfortable. And awakening does not destroy your practical thinking mind. It simply puts the mind back to where it belongs, because the mind itself is an incredible tool for solving practical problems. But it's a terrible master when it comes to understanding who you are and defining your self-worth. So when your car gets a flat tire, you don't sit on the curb meditating, hoping things will fix itself. You simply grab the car jack and pull out the wrench and change the tire, or you call for help. But what real spiritual advancement will do for you is you will be established in the awareness that you are as you carry on the activity, remaining calm and centered. And coming back to these levels of reality again, before you understand this distinction, you live from an unquestioned assumption where your mind thinks that I'm this small, limited person. The person has endless problems, it has rigid goals. This person constantly needs to fix itself, become more, or become spiritual and earn peace. So we turn spirituality into another exhausting self-improvement race. We meditate so this person becomes calmer. We read heavy philosophy and esoteric wisdom so this person looks wiser. But all in all, it is just like sitting in a movie theater, panicking over a fire on the screen and throwing a bucket of water at the projector. That's why in Advaita Vedanta, we ask a much more direct question. Who is aware of these worried thoughts? Who is aware of this physical stress? Who is aware of the body sitting in this chair right now? And when you look honestly, thoughts, emotions, and sensations come and go like weather moving across the sky. The sky is never damaged by the storm or the dark clouds. And the sky is also never improved by the bright sun that shines upon it. The sky remains constant throughout. And what you have to understand is that you are the open sky of awareness in which entire human experience happens. And yet realizing that you are the sky does not mean that it stops raining. When it rains outside, you still carry an umbrella. And if you're looking to realize and experience your own true nature, we have a free program called the Direct Realization, which is a 5-day video course. And this program is designed to strip away all the confusing philosophy, and it gives you a clear, simple guidance to step out of intellectual overthinking. It will also show you how to anchor in direct presence right in the middle of your daily routine. So if you're interested in enrolling in this course, you can find the link to join in the description box below. There's this very famous Zen quote that I'm reminded of, and it goes something like this: before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's ironic, but it's very true, because even after you've gained spiritual insights or experienced awakening, your responsibility to carry water does not suddenly stop. Your duty to chop wood doesn't magically disappear. And in the same way, waking up doesn't mean your daily life disappears. So what actually changes? Think of a clean mirror. So when a messy room sits in front of a mirror, the mirror reflects every detail with total precision. Yet the mirror doesn't get messy because of the mess that is in the room itself. And you don't polish the glass to clean up the room. You simply recognize that the mirror was clean all along. And awakening is realizing that you are the mirror, not the messy room. And real spirituality means actually cleaning up the room, taking care of all the environment, and engaging in life with total presence while knowing that you are the unstained mirror. And it is not about collecting esoteric knowledge just to sound profound while your career, family, and personal life falls apart. And you may have seen plenty of those examples of people who've done that. But what you have to understand is that disorder and chronic avoidance in your physical life are just reflections of internal resistance and fear. And just look at the life of the great sage Ramana Maharshi. When people think of him, they often picture him sitting silently on a holy mountain of Arunachala, completely removed from worldly activities. Yet the truth is that as the years passed, an entire active ashram grew around him, and he was not alone in his daily life. He had a team of devotees and ashram managers taking care of all the daily chores. And even his own mother and younger brother came to live with him, actively running the daily ashram duties, cooking meals, and managing operations. And even to this day, if I'm not wrong, his ashram continues to be managed and preserved through his family's lineage. So what I'm really trying to say here is that even a holy sage like Ramana Maharshi did not hide in isolation from family or his community. He started in center of an active, bustling environment, fully grounded in pure awareness, while practical life unfolded around him. So ultimately, what you have to understand is that even if you have spent years of your life immersed in spirituality, the only way it can really make a difference is when you become involved in the Vyavahārika, or the practical world, living your life without actually hiding away from discomfort and the daily responsibilities and duties. And ultimately, the external events of your life may look very similar, but how you live through them changes completely. And in this way, anger can arise without turning into I am an angry person or a broken person. And a chaotic, busy day can happen without triggering an internal identity crisis. So throughout all this, responsibilities remain, but the heavy suffering falls away. Just remember, before awakening, chop wood and carry water. And after awakening, still chop wood and still carry water. Same responsibilities, same world, but an entirely different state of consciousness. So stop using spirituality as a hiding spot. Stop running away from difficult relationships, and stop avoiding the discomfort, going to work, earning a living, and handling of your practical duties. Instead of running into isolation, actively seek out life experiences that demand your complete presence, and throw yourself into the challenge of living life, welcoming awkwardness, welcoming discomfort, and don't wait for a mystical experience to save you from being a human being. Just wake up to the unmoving awareness that you already are, and then go to work, pay bills, take care of your loved ones, fold the laundry, and live your life with genuine peace and strength. So don't forget to share your thoughts about this video in the comment section below. Also, if you want to take this journey deeper of understanding who you are at the core, don't forget to enroll in our free course, The Direct Realization, and you can find the link for that in the description box below. And with that, I want to wish you all the very best. Goodbye and namaste.